Hello, we shall revise one of the lessons from our second PUC Springs textbook now, that is Japan and Brazil through a traveler's eye. This lesson is the travel experiences of the writer George Mikes. George Mikes, when he visited two countries, Japan and Brazil, some of his observations here they had given. So this is an excerpt taken from two books, that is The Land of the Rising N and also How to Tango. These two books he has written about his observations in Japan and Brazil, and some of those observations are given here. And when we start this travelogue, reading this travelogue or the travel experiences of George Mikes, first he speaks about Japan. So Japan, when he says in Japan, what are his observations? The totally three things he says. First is Japanese manners, and the next is Japanese mania for bowing, and then he says about the most dangerous thing one does in Japan. Let us see in detail. First, he speaks about Japanese manners. He says that within a very short time after landing in Japan, we easily understand that we are among exquisitely well-mannered people. And he says that quarter of an hour enough, it seems, to understand that we are amidst the exquisitely well-mannered people. And he says that Japan is a hopelessly overcrowded island. On this overcrowded island, they do not have sufficient space to set up the things and all, and that is why they have to respect each other's privacy. So that is a substitute privacy, and also it is courtesy, he says. And for example, for this, how do they respect each other's privacy? He has given here the little red telephones. So the little red telephones, what he says is, usually we see that in the booths we can find, nowadays we are not finding, but when he has written that time, we can say that there are telephone booths where whenever we wanted to speak, we can go inside the telephone booth and we can have our conversations, whether it is a secret conversation or a confidential matter, whatever it is. But Japan, because it's an overcrowded island, they do not have sufficient space to set up for these booths, and that is why they keep these little red telephones on the table, in the shops, wherever it is possible. You can talk, you have to talk in public, yet with privacy, he says. Anybody, any passerby could listen in, but nobody does, it seems. You can talk, you can communicate your business matters, which is very confident, and also your intimate love quarrels. You can have in the public, yet with privacy, nobody bothers. That is why he says that the telephone receiver is man's castle. The telephone receiver is man's castle. Saying this as an example, he speaks the Japanese manners, and immediately he goes for their mania of bowing. So what it is? He says that everybody bows to everybody else with a ceremonious serenity of a courtier. And he says that bowing here, he says it is quainter and it is more formal and it is more oriental, he says. And at the same time, he says it is infectious also. Infectious because, so after 2 hours, you start bowing. So, but when you do that, you do not know what it is. Japanese follow, in that split second, they follow all the rules, but we do not know how deep we have to bow, for how long we have to bow, and what time to what person it is. And when we are doing this, definitely we do something worst. So that is why he says that to see this seems like it's very natural process. For Japanese, definitely it is a natural process, but for the others, it is something very, very complicated, which is difficult. And in many cases, he says that there are definite particular rules. And he also explains here about Japanese bowing to one of the earlier traffic rules, traffic law in United States. So after comparing with that, he says that there are certain rules in almost all the things. So for example, he has given here the basic rules inside the family. The basic rules inside the family: wife bows to the husband, and children bow to their father, and younger brothers to their elder brothers, and sister has to bow to the brothers of whatever age. So with these basic rules inside the family, there is no confusion. For us, for the others, maybe it is very complicated process, but for Japanese, it is a natural process, and it with an inimitable grace they do, it seems. And later he speaks some of his observations about this bowing. He says that about the Japanese mothers. Japanese mothers carry their babies on their backs in a little clever saddles. When Japanese mother bows and baby too bows, and it looks so beautiful to see, that he feels. And the second thing he says that about bowing girls. Japanese stores, they employ bowing girls whose only duty is to stand on the top of the escalator and bow with respect, all the time with respect. That is the second thing what he noticed regarding bowing. And later, third thing, he speaks about two conductors between Tokyo and Osaka. Tokyo and Osaka are the places. Between these two, he mentions there, and between these two places he speaks about the Tokaido line. So between Tokyo and Osaka, Tokaido line, the conductors, two conductors, they enter the carriage in a little theatrical scene. That he felt so strange. So they enter the carriage and they march till the middle of the coach, bow ceremoniously in each direction, and then start collecting the tickets. This is the third observation regarding bowing, he says. And the fourth thing, he says that he goes to Nara, one of the places in Japan, and here he met a deer, it seems. So what is that something special? Here the deers, they follow the rules. They are like any other people. They also be there and they also move here and there. When he went, the author went to Nara, he takes food packet for the deer. And the interesting thing here for him is the deer comes to him and bows him ceremoniously. It is not by chance, it is a perfect bow, he says. It's a perfect bow that made him to think about different things, whether it is because it sees all the time the Japanese bowing, maybe it had developed that habit, or else it is the Japanese blood that even the deer also has this habit. Do not know, but it is a courteous and a perfect bow, it seems. And so after bowing, the deer jumped at him and snatched the food packet from his hands, and it goes away. And in this matter also he says that it is a true Japanese. Why? What made him to say that this deer's action at Nara, speaking that the Japanese action? Because his another observation is at bus stops. These people, when they come, they bow to each other ceremoniously, but when the bus comes, they, in order to enter into the bus, they tread on each other's foot, and also they show their elbows into each other's stomachs, and they do all these things. So that is why this kind of Japanese behavior, when they get into the bus, before the bus comes, so in the bus stops, they bow to each other ceremoniously. As soon as the bus comes, in order to get into the bus, this kind of behavior, he compares with the behavior of a deer at Nara, that bowing courteously, perfectly, and immediately snatching the food packet. These are his observations he said about bowing in Japan. And later he speaks about, in Japan, the dangerous thing. So according to him, the most dangerous thing one does in Japan is eating soup, he says. So what is it? How is it very dangerous thing eating soup in Japan? Because one has to make a fearful noise while eating soup, it seems. A fearful noise one has to make, because it is a sign of appreciation. It's a sign of appreciation, making a fearful noise while eating soup. And if at all you do not do that, your hostess may think that he is an ill-mannered lout. He doesn't know how to appreciate a soup. Okay, if at all I know this, so then if I make a noise, and then also the hostess think it seems, so a well brought up European never makes this kind of disgusting noise. That means we do not know how to make that fearful noise in order to appreciate the soup. So that is why while appreciating the soup, we do definitely something wrong which makes the hostess to think that he is an ill-mannered fellow. That is why George Mike's opinion is this is the dangerous thing one does in Japan. So discussing about Japanese manners, Japanese bowing, and in Japan the dangerous thing, we go to Brazil. In Brazil, what are his observations? His observations he mentions mainly about traffic. So Brazil, his first observation is nobody hurries in Brazil. Nobody hurries in Brazil. If you go 1 hour late or 2 hours late or 1 day late also, as if it is not at all a matter for them, they go very leisurely it seems. They walk very leisurely. And also a unique type of decoration he found in one of the parts of Copacabana. Copacabana is the place he mentions. Here he finds unique type of decoration. That unique type of decoration, their pavements were decorated by the beautiful mosaics, black mosaics it seems. And beautiful black mosaics they had used in order to decorate it. And this he felt a unique type of decoration. And so who does that kind of decoration? The people, those who go for their ambulatory exercises, that is running, jogging, walking. So those who want to see beauty in their surroundings, they decorate their pavements with this beautiful black mosaics, which he found it a unique type of decoration in Copacabana. And immediately he says that this leisurely going people, when they have the steering wheel in their hand, no speed is fast enough for them it seems. As if even a fraction of second is also very important for them, they drive. And here in Brazil, motor cars are very extremely expensive. So what are very expensive in Brazil? Motor cars are extremely expensive in Brazil because of the heavy import duties. Seeing that anyone can hardly have a car, but surprisingly everybody has a car, as if cars are distributed for free of cost to all and sundry. Everybody owns a car. Because of that, there was a heavy traffic in Brazil. And also he says that pedestrians' life is becoming more hazardous. Pedestrians, the people, those who walk on the footpath. And how come this increasing traffic, is the reason for the danger for the pedestrians? Here he says that the kind of game they have between the pedestrians and the drivers. So he says that they have it in a very cheerful way, that the pedestrians, as soon as a driver sees the pedestrian step off the pavement, he considers it as a fair game. So he aims and accelerates so that the pedestrian has to jump, leap, and he has to run for his dear life. Then if at all the driver wins, I win today, you win tomorrow. This is what the kind of game with a smile. There is no mad hooting and all. They smile amicably with each other. Today I win, tomorrow you win. Such kind of a gaming spirit existing between pedestrians and the drivers. And also the same kind of thing existing between drivers. So what kind of thing be existing between drivers? So it is a good tempered, but at the same time here the drivers they cut in, they violate almost all the rules. How many times? 20 times in an hour it seems. 20 times in an hour they violate all the rules, they cut in, they force you to brake violently, and also they overtake on both the sides. All these things, finally the same kind of spirit we could find even between the drivers. There was no mad hooting, no hostility, nothing. Instead they both smile amicably with each other. and they say that today I win, tomorrow you win. So this kind of gaming spirit they both have, that is between drivers and between pedestrian and the drivers. After saying that, at the end, George Mikes says in Brazil, particularly a place he mentions, that is Avenida Presidente Vargas. Avenida Presidente Vargas is the place he mentioned it as the worst place regarding traffic. And here he says that you have to stand to cross the road and you have to wait for the auspicious moment to cross the road. You will be standing and wondering how this traffic, how these vehicles go with such a terrifying speed. And he little humorously here he mentions about an incident which you may experience. You will be standing at Avenida Presidente Vargas and your side another person will be standing. Suddenly he sees his friend the other side. He waves his hand and surprisingly he questions, how is it possible to cross the road? Immediately it is the surprise for the other person. He yells back saying that I was born this side. So this small incident he is trying to give here for the readers to understand how difficult it is to cross the road, particularly in this place, that is Avenida Presidente Vargas. So these few details regarding traffic, that is the most unique type of decoration he found in the streets of Copacabana, and also people how leisurely when they walk and how fast when they drive, that he explains, and also the motor cars, how expensive they are, and later the game. So how because of increasing traffic the pedestrian's life is becoming more hazardous, and also the increasing traffic, that is the game spirit between drivers and pedestrians, and also the gaming existing between the drivers. And he at the end mentions about Avenida Presidente Vargas, the worst place regarding the traffic, where it is very difficult. You will be standing waiting for the auspicious moment to cross the road. So these two excerpts he has taken from his book, that is The Land of the Rising N, that is Japan, and How to Tango, that is in Brazil. He has given his travel experiences, some of his observations regarding Japan, some humorous observations he gives, and also about Brazil, the observations regarding traffic he gives. Hope this summary you understood well and you can prepare for the questions whatever is set in this lesson. I will come back with other lesson in my next session. Thank you.